political analyst based in the UK, Professor Tim Wilson. So the headline reads, let's take a look at the Dead Express. And the headline reads, dire warning, energy bills could double. Now, this is, as I said, we talked about this in the Daily Sabah, but now the Daily Express has also written the same story. And joining me now is Tim Wilson, Professor Tim Wilson. Thank you so much for joining me, especially on this new program. So always a pleasure to see you. We hope you're well. Now, the headline on the Daily Express is talking about these energy prices being doubled. Is this a worry? By the way, this is the only newspaper in the UK that's talking about this. Everybody else is talking about that you're not partying for, or you are partying for New Year's Eve, and the PM hasn't said anything. But let's talk about energy for a bit. What do you make of this headline?
Well, it's a serious headline. It's not entirely true that other newspapers are not talking about it. The Daily Mail has it, and the Times has it in a leader. But this is the Express. The editor of the Express says this is a perfect storm, and that's quite a good definition. So the problem started in August with fuel issues at the pumps, and it's been masked by the fact that we have a regulator that has put a cap on domestic fuel consumption. And so when that cap is adjusted in the spring, the fuel prices are expected to shoot up dramatically. And that really is the problem. And I would say, so at the moment, what's happened because of that cap, a number of fuel suppliers have gone bankrupt because they couldn't possibly provide the fuel at the prices that were being charged for the product. And that's rather a result of, I want to say it's rather a result of Russia, but it isn't just Russia. China, India, the price of coal has gone up. The pressure on fuel suppliers to switch to alternative energy, to renewable energy, has had an impact, and the world simply the system isn't ready for that yet. So we've seen in France, Germany particularly, Germany has been decommissioning nuclear power stations and decommissioning coal power stations, and there isn't enough renewable energy to meet that demand. And equally, Russia is operating a sort of passive-aggressive, go slow in channeling its fuel across to the EU. So it's quite rightly saying it must meet its own domestic needs first, and then it can start refilling the fuel banks in Europe. But it's doing it very slowly. And this might be in part a sort of political pressure because of the Ukraine situation. But it is a perfect storm, and in the end, the consumers in Britain, particularly pensioners, older people, are going to bear the brunt of this. They're going to see their energy prices increase in a walloping way.
Indeed. Do you think the UK will be able to nationalise its own energy? I mean, I know you said that it's looking to stock up its own stocks first, or to build up its own stocks first. But would the UK look to, focus on this sort of approach?
I think under the present government, it's highly unlikely. Nationalising industries is not something a Conservative government would do with any enthusiasm. Mrs. Thatcher ushered in a period of denationalising industries. So the Conservative Party, particularly led by someone like Boris Johnson, who is a great admirer of Mrs. Thatcher, is not going to turn that whole principle upside down. Mm-hmm. The more likely approach is it's going to try and cushion the impact of higher costs. The Labour Party is calling on the Conservatives to scrap VAT on energy. Now, VAT was introduced to energy bills by the government following Mrs. Thatcher, that's the John Major government in, I think, about 1994 or something. There was at a very modest level, at 5%. They wanted 17%, and they were forced down to, I think, 8% initially. And then when the Labour government came in 1997, it reduced energy VAT to 5%, which was the minimum it could go under EU regulations. So now we're not in the EU. The Labour government is saying, well, you need to bring the VAT right down, and that will do something. Now, at the moment, they're saying that the government has banked 2 billion extra VAT because of the rise in fuel prices already. But that rise is going to greatly increase after the review of Ofgem in the spring.
Okay, great. That's a good roundabout. That's a good roundup, and I've got another minute here that I need to use up. So I'm going to rack your brains about one last thing. How has Boris Johnson been? He's got a lot of flack recently. Does he still have the vote of the people? I've got a minute.
Well,
yeah.
Bluntly, I think the answer is no, but there's still time for him to turn that round. He's in a very low ebb at the moment. And he doesn't seem to be able to do anything right. But part of the problem is he's surrounded himself by the most appalling cabinet of ministers I think we've seen in about 50 years.
Indeed. It's going to be very interesting. Professor Tim Wilson of Rugby United Kingdom, thank you so much for joining me here today on Front Page. I hope to see you again soon, but good luck in your position. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Well, there you go. So we talked about a lot of things here today. Now,